You know, when I joined IDAP, we were a pretty small outfit.
And how many countries is IDAP active in today?
Now, we're pretty widespread, 50 in the global south alone. CCB, DRR, you name it, we provide aid and development for more than 60 million each year.
If you don't mind me saying, Nathan, you sound... Honestly, Nathan, all this information, it's a godsend. You've given me loads to work with here.
It's nothing, really.
Now, there's just one last question I'd like to ask you. It's subjective, so take your time.
Sure. Fire away.
In your opinion, who's most to blame for all the suffering in Oria Castro? NATO? The guerrillas? CSAT? The Altis Armed Forces? Or, I don't know, something else? Do you think the Major's death had any impact on the war, despite the NATO invasion being...
Fine.
So, these leaflets, do you happen to remember it well? The airstrike, I mean.
Yeah.
Right.
They scattered the mines and sat tight. I'd have to say CSAT. I mean, before they stepped in, pushed NATO out, there was a ceasefire in place, albeit a delicate one, you know? And that cluster strike took the whole thing to the brink. There was so little to gain from such a terrifying show of force. I don't know. The whole thing felt like a power play from the get-go. One big pissing contest. It always is. And the folks here in Orio Castro, they're the ones that have suffered. They're the ones left to face the remnants of war.
Hey, Nathan, I have a link for you. It's to my article. Be gentle, it's a draft. My editor's running it by legal as we speak.
Oh, right, yeah, the mines. I've still got work to do here.
Of course. Okay, well, thanks again for everything. Should I let you get on, or...?
I don't mind talking. Maybe I can tell you a bit more about the town. Something that doesn't get mentioned too much? IDAP and other NGOs oversee communications between POWs and their families.
Really? In what way?
Snail mail, actually. We do our best to ensure any letter written by a prisoner arrives at its destination safely. Although, depending on who's running the detention centers, that can be easier said than done. Whole families, you know?
What's that, Nathan?
Sorry, I'm talking to myself. Old habit. Just this whole mess.
The war.
Everything. I focus on my work, get the job done, but now and again, it's hard not to think. What happened to the folks here?
I've been meaning to ask, after NATO pulled out, when CSAT stepped in, how did that affect your work?
Day to day? I mean, CoinOps stepped up, but honestly, things are already sliding that way, even with NATO at the helm. For the most part, CSAT were mindful of our activities. Brutal, no doubt, but at least clinical. Whole thing felt like one big PR exercise for them. Do you know Mark Cole, Kate?
Our foreign correspondent, yes, of course.
I met him out here just before the ceasefire failed.
That sounds about right. Mark's been toing and froing since the coup back in 26.
Mac, got a quick update for you.
I'm listening, bud.
Yeah, so NATO have bagged and tagged their dead.
Jesus, Andy, anyone ever mention you got a way with words?
Not really. Anywho, it's a half-assed job. Still a bunch of landmines around. Worth checking out?
Yeah, thanks, Andy. I'll head up there shortly. See what I can do.
Those earthquakes you mentioned, weren't there some fairly bad ones not so long ago?
Nothing too major. The worst came during NATO's invasion, actually. Solid 4s and 5s on the Richter scale. The soil out here is pretty loose, though. Folks were worried about gas lines getting damaged. Turns out they were right to be.
How had things deteriorated so quickly? I mean, Altis is not exactly third world, yet food became scarce.
It's the little things. A local delivery stops, trawler is damaged, farmland gets mined. It's an almost imperceptible but fragile network. So when war comes, things just fall apart. Our camp in the town, I still remember it clear as day.
Were there many of you?
From IDAP? No, not really. 4, maybe. Sometimes a couple more, depending on what we had going on. It was mainly logistics, but we did have a doctor and an ambulance. The local priest here, Father Georgiopoulos, he was moving to an Orthodox mission in the Pacific, one of the Horizon Islands.
Did he ever make it?
Yeah, eventually. Tough guy, though. Decided to stay till all the fighting had ended. Said it was his place. Disaster, though, seemed to follow him everywhere.
The tsunami?
Right. Last I heard, he's been helping out with relief efforts. Strange to think kids once played here.
I assume the town was evacuated at some point.
Oh yeah, early on. Many folk left as soon as the ceasefire started to fall apart. Others fled when all those leaflets came. Just a handful of people were here for the end. If I'm not mistaken, I'm actually in Alexis' place. He lived just above his workshop.
What's it like now?
Not great. The guerrillas really did a number on it. I don't think you'd ever guess this was once someone's home. I remember there used to be a cafe here once. Local place. Actually, that's an understatement. I must have picked up more local curse words there than the entire rest of my time out here put together.
It sounds like quite an institution. Did it shut down when the fighting started?
Eventually. The guy who ran it, he didn't have much love for the government. I remember he used to charge the local soldiers double, called it a tourist tax. And one night he was bundled off in the back of a truck. Never saw that guy again.
In your experience, do landmines pose a threat to wildlife?
Yes and no. Dogs, goats, sheep, anything like that, for the most part, they're too light. Bigger livestock, though, say cattle, yeah, they'd have a real bad day. For a farmer here, losing an animal like that, it's a big loss. Sadly, that can mean they try to deal with these things directly. And people? Of course, they're just the right size to trigger an AP mine. That's why our education programs are vital.
I often read articles about war and video games, the digital battlefield and such. What's your view?
My view? Usually flat on my belly, few inches away from high explosives. I'm just messing with you, Kate. That's the reality these days. In many ways it's become so, I don't know, sanitized. A few pixels on a screen, a drone in the air, and a guy sitting somewhere on the other side of the world, ready to click a button.
Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't IDAP and NATO share some common goals? The training, for example. The laws of armed conflict?
Sorta. It's a tough one, actually. It was important we didn't overstep the mark.
You had to be impartial.
Precisely. In a conflict, we have to remain neutral, a partner to all parties, even those that, personally, we may object to.
The mechanic you've been telling me about, he and his brother, they'd always lived there.
In the town, you mean? Yeah, as far as I know. The family business, the garage, it kind of kept them rooted.
You mentioned that IDAP worked with a local mechanic. How did that come about?
Hollywood might call it serendipity, but I don't know. He just saved our ass one time, and then another, and so the story goes. There wasn't much special about his setup, but Guy knew the difference between a crankshaft and a tire iron.
He was good at what he did then.
There wasn't much he couldn't fix. Never asked for a receipt, though, if you know what I mean.
The siege of the town? My notes suggest it lasted for 2 weeks. How could that be?
Divine intervention.
Pardon me?
No, just the weather. Got in their way. Weeks of thick cloud cover blanketed the town.
I'm still not sure I follow.
It prevented the army from calling in Cass. Soon as that cleared, though, well, you know about the cluster strike.
The army's offensive against the town. It seems like, well, a disaster, to be honest.
Yeah, they never imagined the guerrillas would put up a fight, that's for sure. The mines on the road caught them off guard, immobilized their armor. They took heavy casualties from mortar and MG emplacements, too. Some even blamed the Army command, said they gifted the enemy time to organize.
The leaflets.
Right. It was a tough call. Complying with the laws of war, it's got a price. This town, it's no stranger to war.
You mean from the times of the military coup?
Of course, but no, I mean even historically. Whole generation lost their lives in WW2, Operation Torch, the Allied landings.
Ah, in North Africa.
Yeah. The British, they conscripted hundreds of Alshans from across the island. Most of them never made it back. Remember the government's drive on renewables?
Oh, I suppose so, yes. Wind and solar power, wasn't it?
Anything that qualified for an EU grant, really. Anyway, during the offensive, the siege of the town, the army pulled the plug.
They cut the power.
Yeah, wrecked some brand new turbines.
Really? And now? Are they repaired?
Yeah, almost. We're still off the grid. Kinda slows things down. Folks here, they'd seen some pretty bad stuff during the Civil War. People lost loved ones. It was like a black cloud hanging over everyone. Being in this place, back then, you just knew things weren't going to end well. By the way, Kate, I guess everyone there's pretty busy, you know, covering the peace talks?
At AAN?
Yeah.
It's quite hectic, yes. We're flying out a team, actually. Should be on the ground in the next few days.
Any insider info?
Well, it seems likely Nikos Panagopoulos will be the new president.
Really? That ex-guerrilla? Hell, Colonel Acantero's days must really be numbered. You know, Adams, he had a couple of guys on his team. One was a real comedian, Private Nelson. You probably heard about that, episode with the goat.
Who didn't?
You know, after NATO lost its mandate, the guys used to joke that, he was the one responsible for it. I mean, it was the final straw, right? And goats are sacred animals here. Just don't quote me on that. The church, where the mines are, it's sealed off now.
By IDAP?
No, NATO. They lost some guys there in the firefight. One of their EODs is helping clear the place. But, he's not exactly moving quickly. Andy, you there?
What? Yeah, I'm not sleeping. What? What's up? We done here?
Yeah. I'll meet you by the van in 5.
All right, Mac. I'll get us packed up.
Only if it's not too much effort, Sleeping Beauty. God damn it, Marcos. Kate, hi. Just got a positive ID on our guy at the church.
Then it's confirmed. It's definitely him.
Yeah, it's Marcos. No doubt about it. I don't know if it's helpful, but, you know, I remember hearing about a bunch of NATO guys that wound up working with the guerrillas.
Really? Wait, you mean during the Altis invasion?
No, that's the thing. Beforehand. Rumor has it they escaped Stratus, made it over here, and joined up with the locals.
Thanks, yeah. I'll definitely do some digging.
You know, when I joined IDAP, we were a pretty small outfit.
And how many countries is IDAP active in today?
Now, we're pretty widespread, 50 in the global south alone. CCB, DRR, you name it, we provide aid and development for more than 60 million each year.
If you don't mind me saying, Nathan, you sound... I don't know exactly.
Look, it's great we can help so many now, just back in the day, it wasn't so much politics, you know?
How does IDAP distribute aid? It's a big logistical operation.
Oh, yeah. As the name suggests, we're an international organization. You wouldn't believe the paperwork. Supplies come in from all over Europe, end up at our depot in the Netherlands.
And they're shipped out from there?
Mm-hmm. Worldwide. Ground convoys make up the last leg of the journey. Though sometimes we rely on helilifts and airdrops. Hey, it's me.
Hello. Did I hear correctly? You're on the move?
Yeah, next job. Some truck hit an AT mine yesterday. Little ways out from here, I said we'd check up on it.
Okay. I'll not keep you. Thanks again. And good luck out there, Nathan. Take care.
Yeah, you too. Bye, Kate.